Hello everybody, Richard Boy 2 here again. Same night. Hi VarmitCoyote. VarmitCoyote is going through difficulties and I'd say progression too as well. He's discussing or rambling about particular issues he's made discoveries about. We as a society are in our infancy, and when you think of it that way, I'd have to say we're doing pretty good for infants. I don't think infants would get this far. Yeah. You've made a number of observations. We do have difficulties with certain aspects. See, one of the things I'm finding interesting about is what I like to do is I like to try to see if I can understand what's going on around me. And to do that, it's very important to try to discover or try to nail down what the nature of something is. Certain things about living things, as somebody had brought up at one time, said, well, I'm just maximizing our resources. And I thought about that, and I seem to be able to apply that to anything that's alive. All it does is tries to maximize its resources. That's the nature of it. It doesn't do it in a malicious way. It's doing it because it's the nature of anything that survives over millennia, the evolutionary process. Anything that manages to maximize its resources tends to, because of that, survive any kind of sudden changes in environment that this maximization of resources makes it possible for it to survive. Anything else that doesn't, well, it perishes. So we have this particular aspect of ourselves. A funny thing, though, in society, we develop these things called institutions that we try to devise that are to serve us. And that's the original intent anyways. Basically, the way they may serve us is that we can sort of set up administration and processing features in it that run on automatic and process these things in a regular manner. As we get it going and it starts doing what it's supposed to do, and we say, that's working fine. That gives me an opportunity to focus on something else. And while you're focusing on something else, you don't notice all the little quirks and whatnot about this system that you built and the byproducts it may be creating. Not only that, people that get into these institutions, they aren't interested in the ideal, they're interested in a job. And that becomes a focal point, and what the institution ends up doing is becomes self-serving, and that therein overtakes the original intent of the system to begin with. So institutions have a particular aspect of them that make them somewhat dangerous, especially when we start to expand them and make mega institutions. They get larger and larger. They can damage a great deal more in a shorter period of time before we even notice it. And by that time it could be too late, or it could have done so much damage it's going to take a hell of a lot to recover from it. And the thing that I'm thinking of in terms of that is some of the large companies, because they get too damn big. We're just talking about too big to fail. I think we have a problem with that. There's another aspect I'd like to talk about too, but I'm looking at certain things right now. I'm afraid of what's going on at the mega project, mega quarry up north of us. It's going to be digging into a headwater where it supplies a lot of the rivers around us in Ontario, and it scares the hell out of me to think they're going to dig into this thing by a hell of a lot, damage it, and it's going to be unrecoverable. Not to mention that they're destroying grade A farmland in the process. So I'm interested in that. I'm interested in what's going on with this mega thing. The Alberta tar sand scares the hell out of me because of the crap that's going on over there. And then they got this fracking stuff that's going on in Pennsylvania and New York and whatnot. It's actually producing a great deal of toxicity. Again, that's a certain element. Damn, I lost track of what I was going to talk about before. institutions, we tend to turn our backs on them. I think we should actually we need to do something with institutions. I think we need to, something that caught myself talking about something with Walter when I was writing a comment, and all of a sudden came to me. Institutions, I think, because of the danger. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of. Remind me of that later, will you? Institutions, I think, because they get so huge and cause so much damage, because they're so bloody fucking dangerous, they should be restrained with something that could be considered the equivalent of the three laws of robotics. It's a thought. Anyways, if you're not familiar with the three laws of robotics, check out Isaac Asimov. And iRobot movie, that would be a good one for you to look at. Anyways, size. Okay, we're talking about institutions getting large, talking about societies getting large, talking about civilizations getting huge. I have a bit of an issue with it because we tend to lose our humanity because we don't exercise the interpersonal skills that we can do in a small community, and by damaging us in certain respects. We tend to try, again, institutionalism may have something to do with it too, because let's say, for instance, charities, charitable institutions. It's one thing to go out and see a beggar, someone who's starving or something like that, and offer them money and feel a certain sense of accomplishment that you helped somebody. It's another to set on automatic some sort of institution that takes care of that. It becomes a foregone conclusion that's going to be taken care of, and you don't worry about it anymore. Or just, nothing to worry about. You no longer have this sense of connectivity with people who are in difficulty. You become desensitized to it, perhaps, but basically you're disconnected from it completely. So a lot of that disconnect is what's going on, and maybe what's damaging us. I used to live in an apartment building with all these walls around me, and all these people that live in this apartment building never knew a single one of them. I live in a house now. I know all the people around me. Something about isolationism is a real problem too. Maybe social media is helping us to reconnect in certain respects. I know a lot of people talk about, oh, but it's not real. It is real. There's an element to this that is real. People like to try to create some sort of artificiality to it, but it's not as artificial as you think. Institutions, society. Society will always be in our infancy. I'm in my infancy. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. Trying to find new things out. Society, the institutions that we create are the biggest problems because they don't learn. They have almost a certain kind of life force to them in the sense that they become self-serving, and they try to maximize their resources to serve that purpose. But they aren't living things really. And it's one of the reasons why I think it's a ridiculous idea to give them the same privileges or rights as personhood. Well, the corporations to begin with, but the institutions. We really need to guard ourselves against those monsters. They are very dangerous. They can become monsters. They are the Frankensteins. They are the creatures that are created by us. And maybe we don't understand them very well. Maybe we need to get down to understanding their nature. It's like horses or other animals. If you want to have some sort of relationship with them, the best way to do that is to understand them, to understand what drives them, what makes them work. The institutions we have, we don't really understand them all that well, and they're really running us over. The kind of monstrous things that are going on right now with all of these big, huge institutions, the corporations that are driving us. They shouldn't. We should be driving them. But we've got to do something about that. But thanks, VarmitCoyote. Interesting video. I look forward to so on. We shall keep it up. Shan't we? Thanks again.